Hi there. Welcome to Main Street Living. I'm Cheryl Nelson.
I'm Quincy Carr.
And I'm Danielle Alvari.
Hey guys, how is everybody?
Oh yeah, look, I'm doing well. I'm still quarantined. I think just like everybody else. So.
Yeah, I know we're all trying to make do, right? But I got to show you guys. So my husband's actually a little bit crafty. He was in the military, so he knows how to sew patches and all that stuff. Wow. And because now in Virginia, we're told to wear masks when possible. So look at this. He actually made this a couple of masks for me. How cute is that, right?
Wow.
Yeah. So is he selling those or do we have to?
It's funny that you asked that. We had some fabric left over from some dresses I had altered. And so he had just enough and then some shoelaces here to make a couple of masks. But, if you're willing to pay beaucoup bucks, I'm sure he could make you one.
Really? That's when you know it's a lot of money when you say beaucoup bucks. That's too much. Danielle, I don't know if you would want to buy that or spend that much money. That's a lot of money.
I mean, here in Los Angeles, we're supposed to be wearing them right now. Like, if you go out, everybody's wearing one. I even saw someone selling masks on the side of the road, which I don't know if those are the ones we want to be buying, but they're out there. So the option is there.
I guess if they're washable, right? Because the ones that I have are nice cloth fabric. You can throw them in the washing machine. So if somebody's out there selling those, buy them.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know this, and I went to the grocery store the other day, and I was wearing one of those sweatshirts that has like a cowl neck. So I was like, all right, I'll just put this up around my face and tied it tight. And I just about suffocated.
It is. I don't blame you. It's so hard to breathe in these things.
It's hard to breathe, right?
Yeah. I don't know how doctors and nurses and medical workers and vets and everybody else wear these 24/7. I mean, I give them a lot of props for that.
Well, the crazy part is because I was out cutting grass and I usually, because of my asthma, I always wear a mask. But this time I'm thinking, I don't know where the virus could be laying in the yard. So I put on a mask and the little goggles. My goggles, my breathing was causing the goggles to fog up. So here I am I'm cutting the neighbor's yard. Like I done forgot my little line in the yard. Now I'm in my neighbor's yard. Now I'm upset because I got to finish. What I started.
They must like you though.
Yeah, well, he didn't pay me for it. So, I'm a little upset about that. Yeah. So mine got fogged up, but cutting grass, like that's just a part of like my honey-do list that I've been given during this quarantine time. So it's kind of crazy. Like I fixed the sink. I fixed my daughter's dresser because she pulled her top dresser out and the knob came off. So I went, I fixed that. I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, I fixed a doorknob handle because the doorknob got stuck. So I'm doing a bunch of things I never would have done. You know what? I changed the air filter for my AC unit.
We just did that too. That's actually very necessary. I'm glad that you brought that up, Quincy, because we're all inside right now, and the air quality in the house can be really bad if you don't change those filters. I didn't know you were so handy.
Well, it's not that I'm handy. It's just that I have nothing else to do. So now I'm learning this stuff and I'm forced to do it. Okay. And you got a lot of cats in your house. So I definitely know you changing your air filter is necessary.
Man, I just changed it. I should have kept it and showed you. I actually have a picture. I'll have to send you that because the whole thing just has a film of cat fur on it.
Oh my God.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. It's okay. I'm a proud cat mama. It's all right.
Right. Well, you know what? Speaking of cats, I heard, I guess at the New York Zoo, they had the first animal diagnosed with coronavirus. And I was like, now animals are getting diagnosed with this thing too?
It was a tiger. And as far as I know, the tiger was still doing okay. So, I mean, I know it's a rarity. It's a rare case. So I don't want people to freak out and think because they're saying that companion animals, they're not. Yeah. What's that, Danielle?
Oh, just not that we're tiger experts, right? None of us are Joe Exotic. So we've seen Tiger King, I'm sure, at this point. Everybody has nothing to do. We're watching a lot of Netflix.
Freaking everybody out. Yes, of course. So, but it's just been fun, just living life and just getting done what you can get done. But the best part is just spending time with the people that you love anyway. So
absolutely. And that's why it's so key. And that's why we're here with this show, because we want to have a lot of fun with everybody. We want you to watch Main Street Living. And speaking of that, we have a great show planned for you ahead. And coming up, if you are looking to buy or sell a house during the pandemic, there are some changes that you need to know about. So stay tuned. Welcome back to Main Street Living. We're so happy to have you with us. And guys, now is an interesting time to be buying or selling a house during this pandemic.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we can all agree we're stuck in our houses more. Some of us maybe feel like it's a bit too small. Might be time to upgrade. We need a little bit more space. So here to talk to us about the real estate market, realtor and owner of Big Omaha Realty, Van Deeb. Van, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm glad to be invited into your home today. But we have to start by saying, listing a home right now, I can't imagine that things haven't changed. So what is going on now?
So typically we're going to go and spend a lot of time with the owner. We're going to walk through, have conversation with them, maybe spend an hour or two at the house. Today, what we're doing is we're asking them to make sure there's nobody home, but maybe them, just whoever has the ability to sign the paperwork. We're asking them to sanitize everything and make sure that it's safe and it's a safe environment. And we're asking those questions too. Has anybody in your household traveled over the last 14 days? The same questions that people are asking us. So it's a different program than before.
I'm sure. And then are people having to narrow down what they're looking at so that you guys don't have to go to so many houses?
So the way that we work with buyers is not too far from what technology has done for us already. But let's say that I have a buyer and they've narrowed it down to 10 houses after seeing everything on the market. I'm asking them to narrow that down. I'm asking them to drive neighborhoods, get out of the car, walk around the house. I want them to eliminate as many as possible. So we're not taking any chances during this COVID-19.
Absolutely. And have you noticed any changes in the market because of it?
I think what has changed the most is the uncertainty. Is buyers are scared, sellers are scared, and they depend on us to educate them. The motivation still, their interest rates are ridiculously low, and the supply is low, the demand is high. So we're not seeing that much of a break in the first-time buyer market.
So the interest rate's so low. Are you saying good time? Good time to buy a house right now and all the crazy?
Hey, you're talking to a guy that started selling real estate when they were 17.5%. So when I can preach that they're 3% and 3.5%, this is a great time to buy real estate.
And you wouldn't think it, right? You wouldn't think it right now.
No, just because of all the uncertainty, but there's some really good buys. And I'll tell you something, I think sellers understand that buyers are scared. So I think that they're going to be a little more interested in concessions than they might have a month ago.
Yeah, of course. And I have to say, I've been spending a lot more time walking outside. I've seen a lot more of my neighbors out walking the neighborhood. And all of a sudden you're looking at houses that maybe you weren't thinking about before.
Exactly. It's giving people a lot of time to take a look at them on the internet and all the beautiful pictures. And so
yeah,
it's still a good time to buy real estate.
So that's good for you. I mean, how has it affected you personally?
So I've always enjoyed working out of my home. My office is about 2 miles from my home, and I rarely go unless I'm meeting somebody and it's a have to. I like working out of my domain. So it hasn't been that big of a change. The biggest change is people stopping over to have coffee with me. That's kind of slowed down a little bit. I had a driveway meeting the other day. We sat in my driveway 10 feet apart.
A driveway. So that's awesome. So you're professional work from home. So what tips can you give to people who maybe aren't as comfortable working at home?
So what I would tell people is get up and get ready like you're going to the office. Put on your work clothes, have your coffee, create the mindset that I'm going to work. Because if you don't, then you're not going to fully adjust to being in that mindset that you're at work. But you've got to play in your head. You've almost got to imagine I have stepped in my office.
Well, thank you so much, Van. We appreciate all of your feedback, all of your advice. I need to take your advice. I'm sitting here in sweatpants myself, if I'm being honest. So I'm taking working from home. So we appreciate you so much, Van. Thank you so much for talking with us.
Well, Danielle, that was awesome. Lower interest rates. I'll take that.
Absolutely. This is what walking around the neighborhood's for now, is looking for a new house.
Good
Absolutely, ladies. Absolutely. Now, from fixing up your homes to sell to actually fixing strained relationships while under quarantine. Look, y'all don't want to miss our next guest. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Main Street Living. Right now, all of us living at home. Some of us fortunate enough to be with family, but can be kind of a make or break it moment for the families right now, for the marriages. So Quincy, how is it going?
Well, I'm making it. As you can see, my hair is still not combed all the way, but I can tell you this: for many of us around the globe, relationships. Well, for many of us around the globe in relationships, living with others or coexisting during the COVID-19 pandemic has been quite a challenge. So I'd like to welcome relationship expert Dana McNeil to the show. How you doing, Dana?
I am great. Thanks for having me here. This is fun.
Well, just getting right into it. How can people deal during this time in the relationship? You're stuck in the house together, because keep in mind, people were just used to, being apart for 8 to 10 hours a day, and now they're with each other 24 hours a day. So tell us, how can we deal? Just start off.
Well, one thing is I have to have a lot of patience, right? I have to be able to hold my partner in something that I call having a positive perspective. They don't want to be in this situation either. This is just as rough for them. Can I find ways, and this is one of my phrases that I use with my clients, can I find ways to be curious versus furious with my partner right now? Can I find the ability to say, you know what, they're probably frustrated, they're probably frazzled, they don't want to be here either. They're not just doing this to irritate me. There's probably something that they're frustrated about or that they're worried about. Can I come at them from that perspective? Can I say, hey, babe, you don't seem like yourself, or you seem like you're really upset about something. Can we talk about it? Can you tell me what's going on with you so that maybe I can help versus us being butting heads with each other?
Gotcha. Now, that is extremely nice of you to put it that way. I don't know if I could at least take that much time to do that, but I will at least work on it. Okay. Now, real quick, you are the founder of the Relationship Place. What type of support do you provide for your clients?
So we are a therapy practice, and we focus on anything involving relationships. So if I'm in a relationship with a partner, if I'm in a relationship with myself, if I'm working on who I am as an individual, we practice something that's called the Gottman method, Gottman, and it's a kind of evidence-based couples therapy that's based on teaching couples how to have communication skills, because what we know from our work as couples therapists is we don't just know how to do this. We don't take a couples communication class in high school. There is no manual that I get that comes along with my partner. These are skills that I have to learn. And so going to see a therapist is a place where you can learn how to have couple communication skills.
Absolutely. And with you being a licensed marriage and family therapist, okay, you also have something called the out of the box approach. I put air quotes so you can explain it to our viewers. How does that help couples?
Well, we're trying to break the model of what people think are stereotypical visits to therapists, where I have my glasses and I have my clipboard and I'm like, talk to me about that. If we're not that way. It's like, we want it to feel like you're coming to visit a wise friend, right? You're coming in, our offices are set up kind of like a living room. There's no medical model happening to it. And we don't have any judgment on your relationship. If you're in an open relationship, if you're in a polyamory relationship, whoever you are, whatever your relationship is, this is your relationship. I don't get to have an opinion about how you live your life. So we really meet you where you're at and give you skills and tips and tricks on how to have the best relationship possible.
I like that. I like that a lot. And, and real quick, we can all agree that currently we're living what we're living is considered the new normal, at least for the next several months, right? But you've come up with a few guidelines for your clients and even for our viewers. Can you just name off a few of them?
Sure. One of the things that's really helpful is to set up your own space within your home. If that means that you set up a little desk that's designated as your work area, where you get to put pictures that you love or flowers or something that's inspirational to you, and that becomes like off limits for the rest of your family. That's your dedicated workspace.
Okay.
Having a place where you can think and that is like clear for you and that it's set up the way that you exactly like it, where other family members know that it's off limits, can sometimes be helpful to keep you into that mental space of what work means. It's also really important to have beginning and end times, because those of us that are not used to working from home, we'll start working like 24 hours a day, right? So we have to kind of stay with that same schedule. If I work from 8 to 5, then I need to work from 8 to 5. And if I'm used to having a commute to work, maybe I take a walk around the block and start my day. And on my lunch break, I take another walk around the block. And at 5 o'clock,
Okay.
maybe I put a towel over my laptop and I'm like, okay, the office is closed for the day. I have to have schedules. I have to have rituals. I have to have things that are in place that set healthy boundaries. So my brain says, I'm not working 24 hours a day.
Nice, nice. Well, Dana, all this information is great, and there's so much more that you have to offer, and we have the information up so people can reach out to you and so they can find you. I thank you very much for these useful tips. Okay, and thanks for being with us today. Okay. All right. Now, all right. Now, Cheryl, what do you have for us next?
Yeah, we've got some great segments coming up here on Main Street Living. A lot of us are using technology lately. We are relying on it, but we're going to tell you about some new tech coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back to Main Street Living. We hope you're relaxing at home just like we are.
Yeah, you actually kind of caught me slipping there for a second. I was,
Not you, Quincy.
yeah, just trying to hang in there. like what do we do next?
So, as we have all this free time, a lot of people are becoming content creators more than usual from home, making YouTube channels, making TikToks. And those of us who are shooting video with our phones might be interested in this next package. We'll be talking to Caleb Kinchlow. Let's talk tech.
Traditional 360 cameras are relatively expensive, but what if you had those same features in a smartphone? For only $49.99, the Panel Clip 360 turns your phone into a full 360-degree camera. After downloading the free app, attach Panel Clip to your phone, which instantly aligns its super wide-angle lenses with the phone's front and rear cameras. The app includes things you would expect in a camera software, such as filters, stickers, and the ability to reframe shots for the perfect angle. It's also worth noting there are gyro and VR modes included as well. Naturally, it's really easy saving photos to your album or publishing directly to your social media accounts. Although it doesn't play video, it makes up for it by including 9 different animation modes to give your photos a more dynamic feel and showcase the entire image. Panel Clip 360 is currently available for iPhone models 6 through 10, with an Android version currently on the way. One small downside: the device will not fit on phone cases over 0.8 millimeters, which is unfortunately a lot smaller than most strong protective cases. Overall, for the price alone, there isn't much to complain about with Panel Clip 360. I definitely recommend getting your hands on one of these.
All right. How cool was that? I'll have to do that.
Yeah, it seems like something that would be fun. I just don't know if my phone could take it.
We're seeing more content than usual. Some of the content we don't even want, but we're getting it. So
Right. We're getting so much. And speaking of that, the bandwidth, I mean, that's something that can be an issue for many people because everybody right now is working from home. We're all using so much bandwidth.
Absolutely, Cheryl. And I mean, just like that bit itself or that last clip was like picture perfect technology that I would want to use. But fortunately for you guys, because I don't have the bandwidth, Sarah Evans is back with us to give us some tips to help us expand our bandwidth. Let's see what she has for us.
What can impact bandwidth that you might not be aware of? Here are a few of the biggies. Number one, video. If you're doing lots of Zooms, Google Meets, Google Hangouts, start to think about what meetings actually require video versus audio. That eats up a lot of bandwidth. If you have a gamer in the household, have them wait to do big software updates till off-peak hours. If you have in-home video monitoring like pet cams, go ahead and shut those off if you're already going to be home. You don't need to waste the bandwidth on that. If you're a Cox Panoramic Wi-Fi customer like I am, here is a sneaky mom trick. You can actually pause other devices that your kids might be using to ensure you have the most bandwidth during key times like video conference calls. And just simply take stock of the devices in your home. Find out what you actually need versus what you don't. And if you do all that and still are experiencing lag times, call your internet service provider and get the plan that works best for you.
All right. Well, that's some interesting information there. Always very important, right, guys?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know if this phone can handle it, but I'm gonna do my best.
What kind of phone do you have?
It's an iPhone first generation. I'm joking.
No, like, what? That would probably be like a flip phone or something, wouldn't it?
Basically, yeah. No, it's an 8, but I just refuse to upgrade until everything slows down for me. So.
Well, you know what? I don't blame you because I just upgraded to the face activation thing, and it doesn't work when you're wearing one of these. Because I was wearing a mask and I was trying, and of course it wouldn't recognize my face, and I'm going, I miss the fingerprint that opens the phone. I don't know. What do you think about that, Danielle?
Who knows what they're doing with all those pictures of our faces? I don't like that the phone's always listening. I don't like that it's always watching me. There's times that it
creeps me out. I really agree. So Quincy, maybe we should stick with that iPhone 8 there.
Yeah. I think I'll be all right. I mean, bandwidth wise, I can't add anything else to this phone.
All right, guys. Well, we have a lot more ahead here on Main Street Living. And first, think about this. If you're a high school senior and you're looking to get recruited for a college, how is the pandemic affecting these students? We'll have that story coming up. But first, take a look at this TikTok video if you're bored and maybe looking for something fun to do at home.
Welcome back to the show, guys. Now, obviously, this quarantine time, at least in California, everything shut down. One of the first things to go was sports. You name it. NBA, MLB, NCAA, everything got shut down. Here to talk to us about some of the effects of that, especially on high school recruiting, we have national recruiting analyst expert, Adam Finkelstein. Adam, how are you doing, man?
Pretty well. Safe and healthy, thanks. I hope you are too.
How much are you missing sports right now?
It's pretty, there's only so much of the throwback games you can watch on it's like ESPN history is going to make a comeback.
Everything's ESPN Classic now.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was looking for. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, so let's dive into it. Obviously, high school recruiting right now, completely upside down. What should these high school juniors, seniors who are now missing an entire season be doing right now? How is this affecting them?
Well, I think it's, with the seniors, we've seen a couple of trends. One, that these are unsigned seniors. One of the things we're seeing is that the kids who are essentially waiting to play the year out, play the spring recruiting year out in hopes of generating higher level recruitment, lots of them have ended up committing or close to committing to the schools that have already invested time in them. So those are relationships that have already been established, sometimes campuses they've already seen. So in some ways, I think that's brought an earlier end to their process than would have otherwise been. Obviously, there's some seniors that weren't that far along down the road with those. Some of the higher profile national guys going to wrap up their recruitment. But I think the other factor with some of those higher profile guys is there were some kids who were weighing the potential to skip college altogether and pursue professional aspirations abroad. And this is obviously a very different variable that they and their families are going to have to consider now, and really an incomplete variable because we don't know what that's going to look like in terms of international travel and things of that nature next season.
Absolutely. It's interesting you bring that up because is it a situation where players are going to be looking to stay closer to home, whether it's high school players that are coming in or even transfers?
Yeah, I think so. There's differing opinions on that, but I think so far the data has suggested that more players are going to want to stay closer to home. I think especially when they're coming straight out of high school. I don't know that trend has been quite as distinct with regard to transfers relative to the norms from previous years. But in high school, you've certainly seen that kids who were, potentially weighing the options of going farther away are now staying close to home. The most notable example is Cliff Omuri, who is a top 50 guy in the country. I'm sure I butchered his pronunciation, but he ended up committing to Rutgers, and that's a huge get for Steve Peichel. It's frankly, I'm not sure it would have gone down that way if the pandemic hadn't occurred, but it did, and it turns into the biggest recruit of Coach Peichel's tenure so far at Rutgers.
Yeah, and who could have foreseen this happening? I know the NCAA also extended the dead period for the recruiting period through May 31st. So what are coaches allowed to do right now? What kind of contact can they have with recruits?
It's been interesting to talk to coaches and kind of get a sense of how they're handling recruitment. I think that the thing that you're seeing everybody do across the board is really double down their efforts in video, trying to get as much game tape from the previous season as they can, because from an evaluation standpoint, that's really all they have access to. Normally this time of year, coaches would be preparing for the upcoming spring evaluation period, trying to figure out which kids were playing for what teams and what their schedule was going to be on those recruiting weekends. Obviously, those won't take place anymore, so that kind of eliminates that work. So essentially what they're doing now is going back, reviewing film from the winter high school season. And I think they're also doing maybe a little bit more due diligence in terms of talking to coaches, talking to teachers, digging into the character of each kid. Again, that's from an evaluation perspective. I think recruiting can be simplified into kind of two subcategories. There's the evaluation part of it, and then there's the kind of the sales end of it. From a sales perspective, I think what you're seeing is a lot of conversations like this, whether it's Zoom or whatever the technology, FaceTime, guys are connecting with prospects that way. And I've seen
has an email now.
And you know what? It's interesting too. I've seen lots of them are at home. They're not in the office. And so they're bringing their wives and their kids into the process and trying to develop that interpersonal connection that way. Another thing I've seen that's pretty creative is the drone of official visits. So the kids will get a campus tour from a drone flying around a particular campus. That's been pretty creative. And then there've been other schools that have who are ahead of the curve, almost done in 2020, who've been able to move on to 2021. And to the point you made earlier, those are the kids that are usually now moving to the forefront of college coaches' minds, but that's not the case right now. And so the schools that are able to kind of conduct business as usual with regard to that timing, I think are going to have a leg up when everything gets back to normal.
Well, that's great. Thank you. Thank you. You're a wealth of knowledge, Adam. We appreciate you for coming on. Coming up, we do have how you can pay your respects during this pandemic. But for now, let's take a look at some of our regional resources.
Welcome back to Main Street Living. This next story is really going to tug at your heartstrings. Although the coronavirus has changed the world as we know it, it didn't stop the Cox family from honoring a fallen employee.
So today we're here to recognize one of our fallen technicians from last week, Chris Martin. Unfortunately, with the coronavirus the way it is, we're not able to offer support like we typically would with a funeral service to help support our employee. So one of my supervisors presented this idea of doing a procession in front of his house, just so we can show a level of support for the family and of course for Chris.
There's no better way to memorialize him than to do a convoy past his house this morning. There's no services planned because of everything that's going on, so this was the best we could do under the circumstances.
So right now we're at Granby High School, and our Chris's home is just around the corner, so I think shortly we're going to go ahead and just really, for however long it takes, there's probably 100 trucks here, which is really touching to see how many technicians and our employees are here to support Chris and his family. But pretty soon we're going to just go drive by and just wave and show support.
All the vans will be able to proceed forth with their flashers and beacons on, just to roll down his street without necessarily causing undue stress or anything, but still showing our support to the family.
It was a nice way, a nice gesture to really just be there for a family in a really, really difficult time.
We had our last count Friday was close to 100. And with people that are filing in without the Cox vehicles, because we have people that want to show their support even without the Cox fleet. So I'm sure we're going to get over 100 today.
What was really encouraging is when this idea was presented to me, I shared it with my boss, and obviously this went up to JD, and within probably a couple of hours, and given all the other things that are going on, there's an immediate response and level of support throughout the entire leadership. So for me, it really kind of goes back to one thing, is when things really matter most, this company has its employees' back, kind of really shows how much they really care and support our employees.
From Cox, I would expect nothing less. This is just how Cox is always presented. And it hasn't happened often, when we lost somebody from the field, there's always been that family gathering of all the technicians and supervisors and everybody in the field, because we are more of a family than most businesses, for sure. That's one of the reasons I work here. I mean, you can't get any better than an organization that'll support efforts, even through your mental health.
Wow.
Unimaginable to lose a loved one at any time, let alone
Absolutely.
under these conditions. So it's really, I mean, it's heartwarming to see that Cox is able to find a way to show their support in these just completely bizarre times.
Oh yeah.
And
step up and do that is just incredible.
Yeah, very, very, very uplifting moment, showing the goodness of the average human heart. And that's what we all need to see these days. And when we come back, we get to see a little bit more when women are empowering women. Y'all stay with us.
Welcome back to Main Street Living. Now, of course, right now, a lot of us stuck at home, a lot of us working from home. It's tough to keep a business functioning normal right now. So here to talk strategy, we have the mastermind, founder, CEO of Women Who Wow, Michelle Pippin. Michelle, welcome to the show.
Good to see you.
I'm so excited to be here.
So Michelle, tell us, what made you want to start Women Who Wow? And tell us a little bit about what it is.
Yeah, so Women Who Wow is the online platform for the seriously driven woman entrepreneur. We provide coaching and mentoring for that woman who is not playing around. She's not playing business. It's not a hobbypreneur business. She is really in it to win it, to take new ground. And so that we started Women Who Wow mainly because I didn't see an organization that catered to women like myself, right? I really had a hard time finding a place that I felt like represented sort of my drive towards business. And so I just created that. And we actually grew by print invite only. I kid you not, print invite only for 18 months, just to kind of set the tone for the culture of Women Who Wow. And since then we have grown so fast. Now we have members in every state in eight or nine countries. And so it's been a blast.
That's phenomenal that you did that. And I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, okay, how did you grow something so fast? Because that's the biggest challenge when you're starting a new business. So many of them fail.
Yeah, actually, a lot of businesses fail because there's a lot of bad business advice out there, right? And so when you consider the fact that we have nearly an 80% failure rate in business, the first rule that you should consider is whatever you see everybody else doing, don't do that. And you'll probably be way ahead of the game. And, when I started Women Who Wow, it wasn't like popular to be mailing out direct, invites to people because they were looking to social media and all of these like really fancy, bright, shiny objects at the time. And I just really wanted to stay true to what I know works, which is amazing copy, great offers, and direct invites. And I can tell you, a lot of people who are struggling right now for money, for sales, a lot of times they're posting and they're messaging and they're doing all this stuff, but they're not doing a direct invite. You don't have to put it in the mail with a stamp on it. But if you have somebody who's a great target for you, go to them directly and invite them to partner with you in a professional way to join your program or buy a product.
So Michelle, what can businesses do at a time like this when they still have to be conducting business, right? So how are they able to do that, especially businesses maybe that aren't made for working from home?
Yes. So there's a lot of things that we can do. In fact, one of my favorite sayings is there's always something that you can do today. So you don't want to like get yourself off the hook. You definitely don't want to get into your own head and start to, think about how the world is falling apart and the sky is falling. You want to make sure that you understand who you're serving and what they count on you for. And even if you have to innovate dramatically, then you need to do exactly that. So if you're a hair salon, you've been shut down in most states. It doesn't mean you can't serve your people. Consider walking them through doing their roots via a Zoom channel or something like that, right? There's so many things that you can do. But right now, regardless of industry, who do you serve? Who are your ideal clients? And what do they need right now? How can you innovate to continue to be a resource for them?
I'm so glad you said that, because so many businesses, they're not thinking outside the box and they're just shutting down and they're going, well, that's all. And all the employees are losing their jobs. But you have to think outside the box. So what's another piece of advice you would give to somebody who's saying, all right, we're done?
Yeah. So the first thing is this is no time to sit on your hands, right? And shrug your shoulders like, oh, well, what can I do? You definitely want to make sure that first you're serving the people who are already under your umbrella, the people who have already chosen to give you their business. Make sure you're taking care of them first, right? Ask how they're doing, what extra, services or something that they might need from you. So take care of those people first, and then continue to serve the people who you should be marketing to. Continue to give them those kind of messages that empower and equip them, and they will remember that when things start turning around.
Absolutely. That's such good advice. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're wonderful. We've got more Main Street Living after this. Welcome back to Main Street Living. What a fun show today, guys. I'm still thinking about that interview with Michelle, our entrepreneur, and she's just saying, all right, guys, now is the time to make stuff happen.
She really puts me there. She's like, there's no excuse. There's always something you can do every day, and she's not wrong.
Yeah, you got to find the positive in all of this. I mean, I know it's a sad and scary time, and there's lots of uncertainty, but just think about what you can do while you're sitting at home right now.
I need to make I need to figure that out. Do you guys think, is this one a good one? Do you think?
You know what? I actually saw a demo on how you could make one.
And DIY, because I'm in trouble.
Yeah, look, I don't know about making a shirt, but I'm gonna try to make my relationship better. I can tell you that. I'm gonna take some of those tips, take just a few tips, and just try to make things better. I'll try to be more patient.
Oh, are you not patient?
No, I think I'm patient. I'm just not patient with her impatience.
Oh no. What's your sign, Quincy?
Leo.
You're
King
Leo.
of the jungle.
Well, that's interesting though, because usually
Hold up, time out.
They're
Time out. Danielle, what was the look for?
Just makes a lot of sense. A lot of
But Leos are supposed to be so chill.
No, Leos are always feeling like we have to be in control of everything.
No, my husband's a Leo.
Well, then he may not be a real Leo.
Talk is what needs to happen.
Yes. I agree. Danielle, what was one of your favorite segments today?
Just anything that helps me work from home. I need things to help me just stay on track. I know it's just been difficult spending so much time alone. I'm starting to think that I'm lucky that I'm not married, maybe, because this is
shots.
My husband's over there, he's listening.
It's a moment. It's gonna bring people closer together, or divorces everywhere. So it's amazing.
I have heard that as well, that divorce statistics, they might be going up after the pandemic, but hopefully not. Hopefully it's going to bring everybody together and we're all going to be, doing okay after this whole thing is over.
Yeah. Kumbaya.
Yes, absolutely. Well, guys, this has been such a fun show today, and we're looking forward to walking down Main Street again with you next week. We have new shows every Monday at 9 p.m. local time, so make sure you come back and join us then. Bye-bye.